Hey, what's happening, guys? Just got home from work. Actually, I have some food on the grill, so it's windy. I don't know how the sound's gonna turn out, but I want to take some time and talk to you a little bit about kind of what I've dialed in as far as being my setup so far this year, and also kind of talk about a broadhead that I'm gonna try out hunting with this year. I'm not gonna do a review on this broadhead, or I'm not gonna call this a review on this broadhead just because I haven't put it through an animal. So I really feel like that is the ultimate test. And so when you're deciding on a broadhead, look into what people say and look into what studies show and the reason for doing certain things. But until you have that practical application, I don't really feel like I can say definitively that, oh, this is going to be an amazing broadhead, even though everything is pointing to it being for me, and I'm confident enough in it that I'm looking forward to hunting it with it this year. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But this is a Bushman Spartan longbow. I will be hunting with it. It is 47 pounds at 28 inches. I don't draw quite that long, so I'll be right in that 45, 46 pound range. I'm actually hunting with new arrows. These are Bloodsport Onyxes this year. It's a completely different setup from last year where I hunted with the Valkyrie system. Loved the Valkyrie system, and that system, I think, as far as efficiency, FOC, it's just a phenomenal system. So really was pleased with that. I just am always tinkering, always trying something new. So one of the things that I like about these arrows that I'm looking for to try out is that little white strip there. That is it's a blood checker. So it's slightly abrasive. So when that passes through an animal, it's going to hopefully hold some of the blood, so that you can tell whether or not you made a good shot or not by looking at the blood if you can't tell where you hit on the animal. So these guys are 500 spine. I haven't measured them yet, but I cut them down basically a little bit at a time when I'm tuning, bare shaft tuning. So I got them to fly good for me, bare shaft, through some fletching up. I'll talk about fletching. Hunting with 200 grains up front. They have their own outsert system. It's the Bloodsport, their outsert system. So it just glues right on the end, and I'm running that with 200 grains up front. And so I'm gonna try these single beveled, they're bone broadheads. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna autofocus on that, but 200 grains, it's interesting broadhead. So look them up. Check out their website. We'll have a link in our YouTube video. But I wanted to be at that 200 grain mark. I looked at a lot of double beveled or single beveled as well as double beveled broadheads and 3 blades. I really liked the Valkyrie Jaggers that I hunted with last year. But I wanted to go back to that single beveled. I like the Grizzlies that Kevin's had so much success with. I just thought that it'd be nice to go back to a 2-blade broadhead this year. So these are what I'm trying. It's 200 grains. I'm actually going to take my first shot with one here now that I have arrows tuned, and I'm confident that hopefully it'll fly pretty good for me. I'll let you know how it flies, but that is half the battle as far as tuning. A double bevel broadhead or a single bevel broadhead should not be difficult to tune, and so these guys are supposed to be pretty simple. You should be able to get the same flight as a field point, so I'm going to try that out. I'm getting great arrow flight with my 200 grain field points. Obviously running the Selway quivers still, because that's what's on it. I have the strap on. I personally like a slide on much better than the strap on. I just don't have a longbow slide on currently. I need to order one. The strap-ons are phenomenal though. I like them because you can just take them from one bow to the other. My slide-on is for a recurve, and it's currently on my wife's bow that she shoots, so there's that. But the strap-on works great. As far as fletching goes, I'm going back to 3 fletch this year. I shot 4 fletch last year, and I liked it because I didn't have to worry about the cock feather and kind of knocking that arrow in the right direction. But really it's like 50-50 if you aren't paying attention, but it really isn't that big of a deal to go to knock your arrow properly. I was planning on going to 3-inch feathers, so a total of 3 3-inch would give me 6 inches all around, versus 4 2-inch, which would be 8 inches all around. But I placed an order and it has not come in yet. So with ETAR coming up and with just wanting to get dialed in, I went ahead and fletched these guys up with, I have enough fletching to cover all my arrows. So with these batwing feathers from Gateway, so I just decided to run them without a wrap this year, and that should be good for me. So I think that's about it as far as it goes. I'm just gonna take some shots here, gonna shoot a little bit. I worked today 9 to 6, so I just got home, got dinner cooking on the grill, so this is kind of my unwind time. I have a little bit of time to myself while my wife and beautiful daughter, beautiful wife and beautiful daughter, they're both beautiful, while they're hanging out upstairs getting the rest of dinner ready. So 25 yards, just gonna take some shots, have some fun, and then I'm gonna see how this broadhead flies. I'm really excited about shooting broadheads again, because I think practicing with a broadhead is very important, especially when you're getting closer to season. So like that sight picture. And one of the things that I will say about the Valkyrie, that Jagger, that 3-blade broadhead, versus shooting a 2-blade. A 2-blade can sometimes take an adjustment time, like figuring out when you draw, seeing that sight picture is different than just a field point. Those Valkyrie Jaggers, I felt like they were the closest thing to a field point, having a broadhead on in the 5 years that I've shot, which is not very long. But I feel like that's the closest thing where it was like, oh, this is just like shooting a field point, throwing the broadhead on. So I like to practice with broadheads, so this is my designated practice broadhead. The broadheads that I hunt with, I'll have 6 of in total, 1 practice and 5 sharp, ready to go. So one thing I will say about these is right out of the box, they're shaven hair. So a lot of single bevel, well, not a lot of, I've only had 3 different kinds that I've used, and I've had to sharpen every single one that I've ever taken out of a packaging before I was happy with how sharp they are as far as being able to shave with them. These guys out of the packaging are shaving hair, so that's a plus, and that should be a good thing. So we're just gonna shoot, and I'll let you know what I think as far as the flight goes and go from there. Alright, I took a couple warm-up shots. Here's the first shot with the old broadhead. Let's go. So as far as, yeah, I'm on autofocus, that's good. So it might be in focus, it might not be. As far as like sight picture and look, because these outserts are brass, like that brass color, I actually noticed that I was more paying attention to the very end of that outsert instead of the broadhead. So that might make a difference for me shooting. But I'll take that. I mean, that's a dead deer 99% of the time, so I'm happy. Flight looked good. That arrow looked like just shooting a field point. So I'm pretty stoked on that. As far as a broadhead review, I'll let you know how they perform when I put one through an animal, but so far everything looks good. So bone broadheads, I think I'm going to be hunting with them this fall and hopefully have some success with them. So we'll see you next week, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but stay safe and shoot straight.